Tonight, concerns raised over flammable cladding in our local hospitals and a boost for a proposed rocket launching facility near Port Lincoln.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. The state government has hit back at concerns hospitals in our region may have unsafe flammable cladding, but they're still yet to release a report outlining the safety of the buildings. Garth Burley has more.
4 Spencer Gulf hospitals, all with a cloud over their safety, after a state government probe reportedly found these hospitals required further investigation as to the condition of their cladding. The article by the Advertiser cites a report which identifies Port Pirie, Port Augusta, Whyalla and Port Lincoln hospitals as requiring further attention. But the government says there are no public safety concerns. In a statement telling 7 Spencer Gulf News, none of these hospitals were rated above a moderate risk and had sufficient fire safety provisions in case of any danger. The government says it's finished its investigation into the cladding, but it's unclear if the results will be made public. But it's come under fire, a chorus of calls demanding the report be released as a matter of urgency.
We absolutely support calls for a release of reports regarding safety, whether it's related to this or any other safety matter.
So we're trying to get to the bottom of why they're just trying to hide this information from the public.
The audit into cladding began in 2017 following the Grenfell Tower fire in London.
Nurses in Port Augusta have draped themselves in purple to highlight escalating levels of violence in hospitals across the state. Shirts also feature images of abuse from patients. The union is calling on the state government to adopt a 10-point plan to reduce violent incidents. SA Health says it's setting up a new committee to tackle the issue. Southern Launch's proposed orbital launch site at Whalers Way is a step closer to completion. The South Australian government has given the proposal major project status.
It's a go for liftoff in the Eyre Peninsula for Adelaide space company Southern Launch, the organisation securing government support for its orbital rocket facility at Whalers Way, 30 kilometres south of Port Lincoln.
This project needs to be negotiated through the community generally, as any project does. The major project status will assist with that process.
The South Australian government giving the development major project status. They say it will help boost plans to get the launch site up and running.
This puts Port Lincoln and this region actually at the forefront nationally and internationally.
Port Lincoln Council says they're over the moon with that announcement.
The space industry is worth $350 billion US globally and growing, and South Australia and effectively the Eyre Peninsula is going to be a big part of that.
Officials say the facility will be unique to Australia, launching commercial rockets as small as 10 metres into the atmosphere.
We want to make Australia safer, increase efficiency in our agriculture or aquaculture. That's the type of technologies.
Southern Launch hope to begin construction by next year. Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A woman who killed a Quorn man with her ute while his children watched on will spend over 9 years in prison. The court hearing how a dispute over a trailer escalated to fatal levels.
It was almost 2 years ago when this quiet Quorn street became a crime scene. Adriana Tennant running over Quorn local Nathan Freer with her ute, dragging him for around 10 metres as an ongoing feud between the two families turned deadly. Now Tennant will spend the next 9.5 years in a prison cell after being found guilty of manslaughter. The act leaving Freer's partner without her soulmate and his 2 children without a father. Justice Trish Kelly hearing how Tennant rammed into the father of 2 with her vehicle, only stopping when she crashed into a tree. She was originally charged with murder, but it was downgraded to manslaughter, with the judge ruling while the driving was dangerous, it was also consistent with a loss of control, and this and a number of other factors didn't amount to the crime of murder. Adriana Tennant will be available for parole in just over 7 years' time. Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A 41-year-old Port Pirie man has been charged with numerous offences after an incident this morning. Staff at the Portside Tavern refused to serve him around 1 a.m. due to his high level of intoxication. It's alleged he then punched the cash register, pushed items off the bar and threatened staff. After leaving, he's alleged to have knocked over 20 wheelie bins. He's been bailed to appear in the Magistrates Court in December. A Broken Hill tourist information sign has been torn down in the aftermath of last night's council meeting. The property owner says he's fed up with those in charge.
Once a tourist rest stop, now inaccessible. This block of land on Adelaide Road is owned by local company Boss Constructions. The tourist information sign belongs to the council, but it's housed on the property. Today it was cut down.
This is something that Boss Construction didn't want to do, or me personally didn't want to do.
Our sole responsibility as a council is to protect the interests of the community, the interests of the ratepayers.
Mr Bobos alleges council increased his rates for the land by 300% in 1 year. His construction company has refused to pay the rates, forcing council to take legal action. Adding to a recent controversy surrounding the temporary Broken Hill sign, Mr Bobos says he's drawing a line in the sand.
We've put offers to council to settle the matter. Even involves us paying them money and just so we can get it settled.
Council cited to not go into detail about the matter due to legal concerns. However, the General Manager says there's two sides to every story.
People are entitled to their own opinion but not their own facts.
The sign remains on the land, face down in the dirt. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, a new program to help recruit doctors to regional areas. And caught on camera, Port Pirie hunting for a local shoe thief. Welcome back. The federal government has announced plans to develop a new employer model for rural doctors. It's hoped it will encourage GPs to continue practicing in regional areas.
A lack of doctors in regional areas is reaching breaking point. The federal government is looking to reverse the decline, spending $62 million to keep more professionals in the country.
A collaborative model to make sure that we can actually get the best results for the communities.
As part of the plan, a single employer model for rural GPs will be developed.
They'll have the certainty of permanent employment. They'll be able to plan ahead for a number of years.
The member for Grey has welcomed the funding, but says the Spencer Gulf's doctor shortage won't be fixed overnight.
There's no easy fix in this game because it's so hard to get people to make a commitment to living in the country.
The South Australian branch of the Rural Doctors Association says more needs to be done in South Australia. They want Canberra to treat the shortage as a statewide issue.
A number of junior doctors registrar positions that are vacant, and we believe that next year there will be even less doctors working in rural South Australia.
It's multi-pronged. We are trying to get firstly more people interested in delivering rural medicine and then more people making the commitment.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Shark cage diving company Calypso Star Charters has kick-started a local environment fund to help reduce carbon emissions. The company set to disband its carbon credits that was used to offset its environmental impact. The money will be put towards supporting locally run eco-projects.
Rather than buying carbon credits on the world market, we decided that we'd put the same amount of money into some local projects that have an environmental benefit.
More than $12,000 is available. For more information, visit their website. While Ere High School has won a state government award for its vocational educational programs, the principal says their placement format helps students prepare for employment.
Building their futures, these students are gaining hands-on experience through school placements. 21 different vocational education courses available for the students at Ere, so anything from health through to fitness, education.
Ere High's unique system was recognised at the 2019 SA Training Awards in the Innovation for Schools category.
Be recognised at a state level as being best practice is something that we can be really proud of, not just for the school but for our wider community.
Definitely helped us with new skills that we've developed, yeah.
It's not only local students benefiting, which is programmed in week blocks.
Students from all across the Eyre Peninsula and the far north to be able to access that, whilst we provided accommodation for them when they came down for that week block vocational training.
With only 1 in 20 students using their vet course for after school, it's hoped the program will change those figures.
VET is about students connecting to education that leads them directly to employment.
Students encourage other schools to follow suit.
Opens our skills and stuff like that. Yeah, helps develop us for the future.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Award-winning Berlin accordionist Hans will be performing in Whyalla later this year. His show Like a German received 5-star reviews at this year's Adelaide Fringe. He's returning to the city after headlining the 2018 Unearthed Festival. Hans will perform at the Middleback Theatre on November 30. With summer approaching, St Paul is urging residents to remain vigilant around theft. The warning follows in the wake of a recent incident caught on tape in Port Pirie.
Dan DeRoga has lost his soles. The Pirie local waking up to a rude surprise on Wednesday morning. His brand new Adidas shoe stolen just outside his front door.
My first reaction was how sad, really, that people need to go around at 1:20 a.m. Roaming the streets.
Dan luckily captured the moment on CCTV. A hooded assailant can be seen walking along his front yard pavers, grabbing the pair and then running off into the night with an accomplice. Local police say residents should remain vigilant, with the warmer months of the year seeing a rise in crime.
People are aware of where their personal belongings are and they're able to keep an eye on them, keep them close by to you. If you can't keep an eye on them, if you've got someone with you to keep an eye on them for you.
Port Pirie Police reminding residents to store property indoors and keep valuables locked up.
We do say, if you don't lock it, you lose it.
Dan says he would like to turn the other cheek.
I'd be willing to offer support and help for these people, give them an opportunity or a purpose for living.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll take a look at what fish you can catch in the Gulf this weekend. And I'll have the weekend weather forecast. Hello again. The Broken Hill Cricket League is hoping a solution can be found for a lack of venues. With a new women's competition gaining interest, the demand for pitches has increased.
With the new season just weeks away, cricket officials have turned their heads to the Picton Oval.
We are really hamstrung for cricket facilities in this town. The Picton Oval, lovely oval, highly underutilised.
A local women's cricket league is looking likely with 50 potential players showing interest. But a new fixture needs a venue and that's where worries start.
We'd look at any options. At the moment we just haven't got enough facilities, particularly with the women coming on board. We haven't got enough facilities to host cricket.
A rollout pitch has been suggested for the Picton, but it's only suitable for junior cricket. To host senior games, the league is hoping for a more permanent synthetic pitch, emphasising that they have covers that will be used when games are not being played.
It can be integrated. You can play AFL over the top of these covers. So there's no downside. There's no one that can't use this oval because cricket comes here.
The local cricket league is looking at funding options for the project. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Time for a look at what's biting in the Gulf this weekend. Here's our fishing experts with their tips.
what we've seen, the salmon and squid are still floating around the place. So have a crack at that and see where you can go. But I think if you wanted to go for King George whiting, try a little bit further south, maybe Woods Point or Port Broughton. Just try and work those areas. You'll find that they're just on size, but you'll have to work hard for a quota. We come round, we're still seeing plenty of snapper floating around on local drops, so you do need to get out there and work up, but do not put a sinker on. Just let it float down and you'll go a lot better.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, change of season is definitely upon us now. There's a few silver whiting on those lower tides during the day up around the Flinders Channel, and a couple of flatter getting spotted, and also a flounder or two down the bottom end of the Flinders. Up around the top of the Gulf, right up to the train bridge, there's been a couple of kingfish flicking around up there, and also a small school of salmon as well. The crabs should be starting to get a little bit more frequent. Try along the shacks for those, and also up into Port Patterson. And that's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Hi, Whalers Fishing Report this week. There has again been some nice King George whiting coming from both the northern and the southern end of the eastern shoal. A few snapper have also been caught around that area as well, just on the edge of the shoals, best on sunrise and sunset. A few crabs starting to move in the same area, definitely got to work the deeper water for them. Some nice schools of salmon have been holding up around the Point Lowly area and along the Black Point coastline.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start locally in the bay. There's been a couple of patches of salmon cruising around up along the North Shore. A little bit further up at North Shields, there's been some yellowfin whiting along the beach there, and Louth Jetty has been producing a few squid over the past week. Moving over to Coffin Bay, the bay system has been producing a few salmon trout. There's still some whiting and some good sized gar and tommies out around the farm beach grounds. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more fishing tips next week.
Weather now, and it's been a bright and sunny day across the region. Port Augusta reached a top of 29 degrees, Whyalla and Port Pirie 27, Broken Hill 26, Port Lincoln and Adelaide 24. From the satellite we can see clear skies over our region under a ridge of high pressure. Tomorrow on the waters, southeasterly winds at 15 to 20 knots, with seas at a metre. It's looking to be a fine and partly cloudy day about most of the region, with a little more sun over northern parts. Broken Hill with an expected top of 29 degrees, Port Augusta 28, Quorn 27, Port Pirie 23, Whyalla 21, Clare and Adelaide 19, Cleve 18, Coffin Bay 17, and Port Lincoln with a top of 16 degrees. Looking further ahead now, with partly cloudy conditions expected at Port Lincoln and Cleve across the weekend, ahead of a sunny start to next week. Woodner remaining fine and partly cloudy through the weekend and into Monday. Whyalla looking partly cloudy across the weekend, sunny on Monday. Port Augusta remaining fine and partly cloudy through the weekend and into the new week. Kadina with sunny conditions expected Sunday and Monday. And a partly cloudy weekend on the way for Port Pirie, with sunny conditions on Monday. Clare looking partly cloudy on Saturday, and then sunny Sunday and into the new week. And finally to Broken Hill, where it's expected to remain sunny across the weekend and into Monday. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll have some updates later in the evening, but until then, enjoy your evening here on 7. On behalf of the team, it's good night.